What's up, guys? It is Monday, and as you can see on the classroom post, Wednesday we'll do a new full lesson talking about spawning and despawning objects when you have new things come on screen or things go away. You want to do that in an efficient manner instead of creating a million instances when you only need a few. But for that, and for a lot of the individual stuff I've been recommending, I have been talking a lot about putting your stuff in a list. In most games, you'll have objects that are not unique, like enemies and Space Invaders. They're all pretty much the same, or balls on a pool table. They're all pretty much the same. Something like that, which means they'll be based on the same class. There'll be objects created from the same class, but it also means you probably want to check them all at the same time. So if you're gonna jump in a platformer, you want to be able to say, hey, am I touching any of these platforms to land on? And you can just ask the group instead of asking each one, because if your ball has to say, hey, am I touching platform number 1? Am I touching platform number 2? Am I touching platform number 3? That's okay when there are only a few, but if you want to make something generalized that could be applied to more and more, you don't want to do that. You want to be able to say, hey, platforms, am I touching any of y'all? And then get back a yes or no. That means that you guys want to start using this syntax and so on in your code. And I don't want to make it complicated. I was looking online for like an intro video for this stuff. Like, oh, let me send an intro video. But the problem is they're all focused on definitions like, oh, you got to know the difference between a list and an array and a set and a tuple and a dictionary. And that's not what we care about. I'm not going to give you a quiz on that stuff. And I'm not even going to care if you use the right one. In my examples, I've been using lists, and I've even been using the word list because it's a easy to understand word. But actually, the thing for the idea I'm talking about could be done with a set. And I don't care which one you use. They're basically the same thing with different brackets in the code. Basically, a list is in order, and everyone has a number, and a set is just a big blob of stuff with no order. And for the stuff that I'm doing with them, it doesn't matter. Either one would work. I just like lists because they're so easy to remember. When I was doing programming class in high school, we were doing Visual Basic, and they had something called an array, which is way harder, and you have to like fit all these requirements, and the stuff has to be the same type, and it's not as easy as Python lists or sets. With Python, you can just like throw stuff in a couple brackets, and it doesn't matter if they're the same type. It doesn't matter. Like, it'll take whatever. You could have an integer and a string, an object you created, and another thing, and you can add them later, remove them later, get a shuffle whenever you want, ask for the length whenever you want. It's pretty easy, and that's why we're using them, because it's worth the effort since the effort is so small. So I'm actually not going to send you any of these little videos like this one or this one, because like I said, they are so focused on the definition. And I don't really care. If you use a set, it will do the job. If you use a list, it will do the job. If you use a dictionary, it will actually do this job as well. It's just a little more stuff. Tuple, no, because a tuple is like you put stuff in there and then it's stuck. It never changes. You can't add or remove or change And that's fine for some uses, but not the thing I'm talking about. So I'm going to send you something from something even longer, which is kind of funny, but you may remember in Q1 and Q2, I was talking about this guy named John Philip Jones. And yes, his videos are long, and he makes a playlist of like 20 things, and it may seem like how could that be worth it? But it really is. If you want to get good at this stuff, I would recommend this guy's videos because he shows the reason why it is the way it is, or the theory, or like how to imagine it. You know, like here's the drawing of the Venn diagram, and here's how this thing moves from here to here. And that really helps because when I started this class, I had never done Python. You know, I never used Python until 2020. And after going through his stuff, I think I get a pretty good sense of why it is the way it is. So yes, I'm going to post a link to this massively long playlist of like some of the videos of 20 minutes. You don't have to watch them all. You don't have to watch any, but if you want a good background of like how to imagine this stuff in your head, you might check out one or two of them. So anyway, that's something I'm going to be mentioning in Wednesday's video, and I'm going to be mentioning a lot to people in their individual comments. For example, when we're spawning and despawning objects, you don't want to make them on demand. You want to just have like a pool ready to go. So like if you're doing Space Invaders, you'll have a pool of a couple enemies ready to go, and then when you need one to appear on screen, there it is. So you'll be taking it from that list and adding it to another list of the ones that are on screen. So stuff like that is super useful, and it is really simple. In fact, it's almost too simple, which is why it can be confusing. Because like you just say list equals brackets and then your stuff, and it's like, I thought I was going to need more, you know? So think about that and take a look at those videos if you're curious.